Down, down, down you go. No.
Hey there guys, welcome back to the Puff Puff Pass podcast number 4 with your host, Shay Collins. Hope you guys are doing well, hope you had a great week, and hope you're definitely looking forward to the weekend. I know that my weekend is definitely going to be busy with my upcoming birthday and seeing my parents and spending time with family and friends and all that kind of stuff, so really, really happy about that. But yeah, so anyway, welcome back to the podcast, and today we are talking about sensitive subjects. So, let's see here. So my 5 subjects, I'm going to go ahead and list them all for you, and then we'll just talk about each individual one. So the 5 are unconventional living, sex, number 3 is money and ways of making it, number 2 is politics, yeah, that's definitely on there, and number 1, well, I guess you're going to have to watch to the end of the video to figure out what number 1 is. Yep, I'm that person. So let's talk about unconventional living, which is number 5. So, what I consider, and what everybody pretty much considers, unconventional living or alternative lifestyles or any other type of way of saying that, would be anybody outside of the normal, mainstream, everyday Joe type of person. But specifically when it comes to furries, vegans and vegetarians, gypsies, nudists, and any other kind of lifestyles like that, people tend to either, because they don't understand it, they just automatically don't like it, or because it has a negative stigma around it or something like that, is whenever people tend to not really like certain subjects or certain things or whatever. This just stems back all the way to, accepting everybody for who they are and being able to coexist, which is exactly what we need. If people could just accept everybody for who they are, then a lot of our problems would, kind of be minimized because of that. So then number 4 is sex. Anything having to do with sex, sex work, sexploitation, sex in media, sexual education in schools, that can mean just so many things. Sex is such a broad topic. Sex is great. Sex is a wonderful thing. There's absolutely nothing wrong with having sex, if you're doing it for the right reasons. If you're doing it for the wrong reasons, then absolutely, but that's with anything. If you're doing it for any kind of wrong reason, it's obviously going to be wrong. When it comes to sex workers like strippers or prostitutes or anything like that, there's obviously a very bad stigma around it, for good reason. But for people who choose this as their calling, as their living, it stems, again, back to alternative lifestyles and things of that nature, that everyone should be accepted no matter what you do or what you're a part of. Alright, and on to number 3, money. Doesn't matter if you have it or you don't have it. Obviously, if you're sitting there talking about how much money you make all the time and being, kind of an asshole about it, then yeah, it's a little much and you shouldn't do that. But if you're sitting there trying to encourage somebody who maybe works alongside you or also does a similar profession, if not the same, and you're trying to encourage them, or maybe you're like me and my friends and we find stuff on the side of the road, junking, and we turn around and we sell it. Well, you should be talking about money. That should be something that we talk about in conversations. I mean, what are we supposed to talk about? All 5 subjects have bad connotations and bad things having to do with them, and bad, outcomes if you do stuff wrong. But if you go about it in a very kind and very trying to teach way, rather than trying to shove stuff down people's throat and be like, oh, well, blah, 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 blah. No, if you're going to be, pushy about it, and you're going to be, like I said earlier, an asshole about it, then no, you maybe shouldn't be talking about these subjects. But if you can go about them in a very, kind and considerate way and show people, hey, this is what has worked for me, and you can teach other people, that's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be helping out our fellow man. But anyway, sorry to bunny trail, but, so yes, on to subject number 2, and that is politics. We all know that one individual that just takes it too far with politics. And politics is basically getting to know where somebody stands with something, because all the things that happen in politics are setting laws and setting regulations and taking care of the country and going to war or not going to war or spending money or not spending money. And so, I'm sorry, I got completely distracted. Somebody decided to squeal their tires outside, which is always just grand. But you get to know where people stand with stuff, because the way that they vote or the way that they go about making decisions on stuff, like, I feel like politics is just one big game. I think because we've stopped talking about it in social groups and in, regular day-to-day conversations, I feel like that's why it's not being taken seriously. We like to be fed information. We want to be told what to think. And that is just, I don't know, I cannot fathom that thought of being fed what to think. I can't. I just can't stomach it. I can't deal with it. And I refuse to. So I would rather try to, make my own opinions and not, and I don't know everything. And because I don't know everything, I have to ask questions and I want to know what other people's views are. So if we're talking about these things, then I'm better equipped, as are you and as are other people, to better make decisions. Because if you don't know the information, then how are you making a good, solid decision about anything? That's why I say question everything. But everybody just doesn't want to talk about these things for some reason. And last, but certainly not least, is number 1, which I specifically did not list in the beginning because I very much wanted people to stay and hear this one, because this is the most important one, in my opinion. This is the most controversial subject on the face of the planet. Always has been and always will be till the end of the earth. And I'm pretty sure by now you all know exactly what I'm talking about, and that's religion. Religion and spirituality is the, by far, most controversial thing and the most taboo and the most, let's not talk about that, it might hurt somebody's feelings. Because it is the most important thing on the face of the planet. That's why. Religion is one of those things that everybody has their own view on it. But there is only one true answer. We all think that we have the final answer. We think that we know everything. And we don't. We don't know shit. If you want to be really brutally honest, we don't know shit. But nobody really talks about what matters, what's real, what's true, and what's important. We talk about everything that's superficial. We talk about everything that doesn't matter. We stress and worry over things that don't matter. We make other things important that aren't. And where did you come from? And where are you going? Those are the type of questions you need to be asking yourself today in this moment. We are called to go out there and talk to people and tell them about the wonderful saving grace of Jesus Christ. So when you tell me that that's the number one thing we shouldn't be talking about, I just laugh. Because you're out of your mind. You've done lost it. If anything, that's the number one thing we should be talking about. We can look to God for guidance and not fully rely on ourselves, because we're fallen. And we're gonna fall every single time if we don't have God's guidance. Period. It's just the truth. Take it or leave it. Alright, well anyway, thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you so much for tuning in. I know it was a pretty heavy podcast today, but thank you for making it through, and thank you for listening. And go out there and talk about these subjects. Get people talking. This is some serious stuff, and we live in a very serious age now, and life needs to not be taken for granted. Seriously. So get out there and talk about this stuff and start, conversations with people and just live your life. And, if you're not really fully ready to go out there and talk to people on the streets, you can start a conversation in the comments below. And I think the best conversations can be had about sensitive subjects, because you really truly get to know where somebody stands. But anyway, like I said, thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you guys on Monday. Hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. I know I will. And when I see you on Monday, I will no longer be a teenager. I will be an adult. I will finally be 20 years old, out of the teens and into the adulthood. Alright, well, I love you guys. Bye.